Imagine facing life's toughest challenges without a clear guide, trapped in a constant struggle with anxiety, fear, and uncertainty. Often we find ourselves longing for an inner compass, something to help us stand firm amid the storm. We feel lost, trapped in a life that seems out of our control, as each challenge and blow makes us doubt ourselves more. This constant conflict not only affects our peace, but also drains our strength, leaving us increasingly vulnerable to the never-ending difficulties. If you've ever felt the weight of the world on your shoulders, feeling like no matter how hard you fight, you always return to that same place of despair and helplessness, then this message is for you. Nearly 2,000 years ago, one man faced that same darkness and found a way out. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, discovered in Stoicism a powerful and radical guide to overcome any adversity. Today, his teachings offer us a timeless set of rules, a map toward a life of balance, resilience, and unbreakable strength. Stay with us until the end of this documentary, and together we'll explore the Stoic lessons that transformed a leader into a legend. You'll discover how the same rules that gave Marcus Aurelius peace can provide you with the clarity and strength you need in your own life. In a world with so many distracting voices, this space aims to help you reconnect with yourself. If you value that opportunity and want to inspire others to discover their inner strength, give this video a like and subscribe. Each click helps spread this Stoic wisdom even further. Without further ado, let's begin. History remembers Marcus Aurelius as one of Rome's wisest emperors and as a philosopher whose Stoic reflections have influenced countless lives through the ages. His life began within the upper echelons of Roman society, where the influence of his lineage and the people around him profoundly shaped his character. Marcus Aurelius Antoninus was born in Rome in the year 121, in an environment that promised a life bound to service and power. His family, part of the patrician class, provided him with a privileged and opportunity-rich environment, but also one of strong responsibilities. His father, Marcus Annius Verus, belonged to the Anni clan, an influential Hispanic group active in Roman politics. Though he lost his father while still a child, young Marcus was never alone in his upbringing. His mother, Domitia Lucilla, and his paternal grandfather, also named Marcus Annius Verus, were central figures in his life and the shaping of his personality. Domitia Lucilla, a woman of noble principles and humble character, came from a wealthy and ancient family. Despite the means for a life of opulence, she preferred a simple lifestyle, far removed from the extravagance that characterized the Roman upper class. This example of humility and moderation deeply influenced young Marcus, who admired his mother's ability to live in balance without ostentation. From her, he would learn the values of compassion and simplicity, values he later integrated into his leadership. At the same time, his grandfather, a rigorous man with great ambition, instilled in him a deep sense of responsibility and service. This grandfather was responsible for ensuring that the family gained the necessary recognition to be accepted into the patrician class, securing a prominent role for their lineage in Roman society. Thus, under the guidance of two contrasting personalities, Marcus Aurelius grew up in an environment that combined his grandfather's discipline and commitment with his mother's humility and generosity. From a very early age, Marcus exhibited an unusual solemnity for a child. His family observed in him a rare maturity, and this seriousness seemed to anticipate his inclination toward reflection and self-knowledge. At just 6 years old, Emperor Hadrian enrolled him in the equestrian order, introducing him into Roman nobility and providing him with an early glimpse of his future in power. This appointment was not only an honor, granting him entry into the elite, but also demanded a young man conduct himself with noble dignity, an expectation he would soon fulfill with dedication. As Marcus grew, his interest in an austere and disciplined life became evident. In his adolescence, he displayed a natural inclination toward philosophical ideals, especially Stoicism, and sought a life of simplicity, detached from superficial pleasures. It's said that, even as a young man, he insisted on sleeping on the floor and dressing in a simple cloak, inspired by Stoic customs. His mother, concerned about the extreme rigor he subjected himself to, convinced him to at least sleep on animal skins instead of the hard floor. Nonetheless, this desire to live according to ideals of austerity and inner strength remained with him throughout his life. Emperor Hadrian, observing Marcus's maturity and seriousness, grew especially fond of him and nicknamed him Verissimus, meaning most true. This name reflected the essence of Marcus Aurelius, an honest, transparent individual true to his principles. Hadrian, a man of vast culture and cautious leadership, saw in young Marcus a potential successor. Though Marcus was still too young to take the reins of the empire, Hadrian made sure to surround him with the best teachers, preparing him for a future in Roman politics. During these formative years, Marcus was educated in the foundational subjects for a Roman noble: literature, grammar, philosophy, Latin, and Greek. This knowledge not only expanded his intellect, but also provided him with a broad and profound perspective of the world, preparing him to face the challenges of public life and leadership. The influence of these studies and his inclination toward philosophy taught him to value justice, morality, and self-awareness. In this environment of discipline, study, and familial virtues, Marcus Aurelius began to forge himself as a leader, yet unaware that his destiny would lead him to become an emperor. His life would not only be one of a ruler, but also of a philosopher who would find in reflection and introspection a source of strength to bear the burdens of power. From these early years, Marcus showed signs of the greatness of character that would accompany him throughout his life and make him one of history's most admired figures. Marcus Aurelius's environment continued preparing him for a destiny filled with great responsibilities, but also great sacrifices. His mature character and interest in philosophy distinguished him from his peers, and his desire to live according to virtuous principles grew increasingly evident. His education was rigorous and comprehensive, and under Emperor Hadrian's supervision, Marcus received training in every aspect necessary for a future ruler. As he advanced through his adolescence, Marcus's interest in philosophy, particularly Stoicism, deepened. Stoicism, a doctrine that emphasized the importance of virtue, self-control, and indifference toward pain and pleasure, resonated with his character and provided him with the tools needed to face the challenges awaiting him. His commitment to Stoicism was so strong that he adopted austere lifestyle habits many considered radical. He dressed in a simple Greek cloak and slept on the floor, shunning the luxuries of his class. Though his family tried to dissuade him, young Marcus seemed determined to lead a life focused on self-discipline and inner strength. Emperor Hadrian, impressed by the young man's seriousness and discipline, decided it was time to involve him in Rome's public life. This first step not only introduced Marcus to politics, but also exposed him to the realities of power. Hadrian saw in Marcus a potential successor, someone capable of leading Rome with wisdom and justice, and began entrusting him with responsibilities that would allow him to gain experience in state affairs. At the age of 14, Marcus Aurelius received the toga virilis, symbolizing his transition to adulthood and his commitment to the Roman Empire. Wearing the toga virilis meant leaving behind childhood and assuming the responsibilities of an adult Roman citizen. During this ceremony, he set aside the amulet he had worn around his neck since birth, a symbol of protection, and with it, left his childhood to take on a public role. Marcus was ready to face the world waiting for him, a world filled with challenges and obligations that would constantly test his character. Soon after, family responsibilities began to arise. His mother, concerned about the well-being of his sister, Ania Cornificia Faustina, asked Marcus to share with her the inheritance left by their father. Not only did Marcus agree to this request, but he also allowed his sister to take the entire inheritance, including his portion of his mother's fortune. This act, reflecting his generosity and lack of interest in material wealth, further strengthened his reputation as a noble young man with elevated principles. Hadrian, despite frequently being away from Rome, maintained a constant interest in Marcus's development, appointing him honorary prefect of Rome during the Latin festival, an event celebrated in the city of Albano. This appointment, despite Marcus's youth, demonstrated the emperor's trust in him and exposed Marcus to interactions with Rome's magistrates and authorities. During this experience, Marcus displayed remarkable political skills, further increasing Hadrian's esteem for him. Around this time, Marcus began studying under Apollonius of Chalcedon, a prominent Stoic philosopher. Apollonius would teach Marcus not only the theoretical principles of Stoicism, but also how to apply these teachings in daily life. Under his mentor's influence, Marcus became a devoted and reflective student, committed to living by the philosophical ideals he was learning. This desire to adhere to Stoic philosophy developed within him an inner strength that would be essential in the coming years. Another influential figure in his life was Fronto, a renowned orator and lawyer in Rome who taught him the art of rhetoric and eloquence. Marcus held deep respect and affection for Fronto, and this relationship became one of the most significant in his formation. Throughout his studies, Marcus showed a great willingness to learn and graciously accepted his teacher's critiques, knowing that each lesson brought him closer to becoming a wise and balanced leader. Fronto once described a day spent harvesting grapes and working alongside men on Antoninus's estate, reminding Marcus that leadership also required understanding and valuing the work of others, no matter how simple it might seem. However, not all his training was academic or philosophical. Hadrian also saw the importance of Marcus gaining military knowledge and experiencing the art of war. Although Marcus showed no natural inclination for military life, he understood that an emperor's duty included the defense of the empire. Under the guidance of carefully selected mentors, he began training in combat and defense strategies, aware that he might one day need this knowledge to protect Rome. These years of learning were essential for Marcus Aurelius's development. Each mentor, each experience, and each lesson wove together to shape a balanced leader and a man of solid principles. Marcus was not only preparing to assume power, but also developing a world-view based on justice, reason, and compassion. His commitment to virtue and the common good distinguished him from other Roman nobles, who often cared more for power and wealth. Marcus saw power as a responsibility, not a privilege, and this conviction would become a defining trait of his reign. Deep down, Marcus Aurelius was already showing signs of being a different ruler, a man willing to place his ideals above personal ambition. In a Rome marked by intrigues and power struggles, his integrity and moral strength set him apart as a young man destined to leave an enduring mark on history. This period of his life, though filled with challenges and sacrifices, was fundamental to the development of his character and the growth of his determination to live according to the principles he deeply valued. As Marcus Aurelius grew, his life became increasingly intertwined with the challenges and responsibilities of public life. His vision for Rome was profound and ambitious, but it was also accompanied by the humility and self-awareness he deeply valued. During this time, he focused not only on philosophy or rhetoric, but also delved into principles of administration, law, and financial management. Stoic ideals continued to guide him, blending seamlessly with his new studies, giving him a unique perspective on power and leadership. In 136 AD, Emperor Hadrian, aware that his health was declining, decided it was necessary to establish a stable line of succession. He had closely observed Marcus's development and believed his character suited leadership. Yet Hadrian also understood that Marcus was still too young to take the throne. Thus, he made a decision that would shape Marcus's life. Hadrian adopted Antoninus Pius as his heir, with the condition that Antoninus, in turn, adopt Marcus Aurelius as his son and successor. This arrangement, though full of political considerations, was a careful and calculated transition toward a government eventually led by Marcus Aurelius. His formal adoption into the imperial family granted him a new title, bringing him a step closer to the throne. This act formalized the responsibility that already weighed on him, which he began to take on with a great sense of duty. Simultaneously, Marcus Aurelius was betrothed to Faustina, Antoninus Pius's daughter, a young woman of strong character and independent spirit. This engagement not only solidified family ties within the imperial line, but marked another milestone in Marcus's life, one in which he realized that his destiny was no longer his alone, but entwined with the fate of the Roman Empire. The engagement to Faustina symbolized not only a familial bond, but also a political alliance, cementing his position as the future emperor. As his role in Roman politics grew, Marcus began attending Senate meetings where he gained first-hand insight into the dynamics and challenges of governance. Though young, his contributions displayed a maturity and judgment that surprised many. Marcus listened intently, analyzed, and responded with a calm and clarity, reflecting his philosophical principles. The influence of his Stoic education was evident. His presence radiated unwavering serenity and focus, qualities rare in the tense, ambition-fueled Roman political environment. Antoninus Pius, aware of Marcus's capabilities and future role, entrusted him with various administrative responsibilities, allowing him to gain experience in managing state affairs. Marcus handled these responsibilities with dedication, and it soon became apparent that he was not only an outstanding student, but also a natural leader. His decisions displayed prudence, justice, and compassion, and many of his contemporaries began to view him as an exceptional figure within Roman aristocracy. This period also marked an emotional learning experience for Marcus. Despite his focus on duties and studies, he began to forge a closer bond with Faustina, a young woman with a vibrant and intelligent spirit. Though their lives and personalities initially seemed to contrast, Marcus found in her a companion who shared his love for Rome and his commitment to the empire's well-being. Faustina, with her vitality and determination, became a constant support for Marcus, who saw in her someone capable of challenging his ideas and offering a fresh perspective. Their relationship, though marked by politics, also held a level of authenticity few in their position experienced. Yet, Marcus was not swayed by the romanticism of court life. He always remembered his teacher's lessons and the Stoic reflections that guided his actions. His connection to philosophy was so deep that during moments of pressure, he would withdraw to reflect and meditate, seeking calm and strength through introspection. He knew that power had the potential to corrupt and change people, and he was determined not to fall into these temptations. In his moments of meditation, he reminded himself that his purpose was not self-aggrandizement, but to serve Rome with honor and justice. Time moved forward, and with Hadrian's death, Antoninus Pius assumed the throne as emperor. Marcus became his chief advisor and a fundamental support for his government. His dedication and prudence made him indispensable to Antoninus, who fully trusted him. Despite his youth, Marcus exhibited judgment that set him apart from senators and nobles with greater experience. Antoninus particularly valued Marcus's loyalty and ethics, often praising his sense of justice and his willingness to sacrifice for the common good. During this time, Marcus Aurelius began writing his first personal reflections, notes that would later become the work known as Meditations. In these pages, Marcus recorded his thoughts on virtue, duty, and the purpose of life. His writings were an attempt to maintain clarity and focus in a world filled with distractions and temptations. Each reflection served as a reminder of the importance of living according to Stoic principles and of not allowing emotions or external influences to sway him. Marcus saw these meditations as a way to fortify his spirit and to remember who he truly was, beyond titles and the expectations of others. Life in the Roman court taught Marcus much about the complexities of power and the intrigues surrounding the throne. He observed the nobles and senators, learning from their mistakes and successes. But unlike many, Marcus did not seek power for its own sake. His desire was to guide Rome toward an era of peace and prosperity. He understood that his duty was to the people, not to the privileges of the nobility, and this conviction made him a respected and admired figure. Looking toward the future, Marcus knew his path would not be easy. The challenges were numerous, and he understood that Rome's stability depended on difficult decisions and personal sacrifices. Yet he was prepared to face any adversity. With Antoninus Pius's guidance and the inspiration of Stoic philosophy, Marcus Aurelius moved toward his destiny, determined to become the emperor Rome needed. If you've made it this far, it's because you're ready to be inspired by the greatness and wisdom of Marcus Aurelius. Subscribe and comment. Strength is within me to reaffirm your commitment to a life guided by purpose and reflection. This is only the first step toward a full and conscious existence. As you dive into the story of this philosopher-emperor, you'll discover principles that could transform the way you face life. Don't miss it. This legacy could be the inspiration you've been searching for. Let's continue. The leadership of Marcus Aurelius would soon be tested as barbarian tribes began to cross the empire's borders, threatening to destabilize the northern provinces. Although he had always preferred peace, Marcus understood that he had to protect his people and that diplomacy was not always enough to contain tensions. The Germanic tribes in particular grew increasingly audacious, advancing toward the Roman frontiers and challenging imperial authority. The threat could not be ignored, and Marcus knew that facing them would be inevitable. Despite not having a natural inclination toward war, Marcus took on the challenge with the same determination he applied to all aspects of his life. Accompanied by his co-emperor Lucius Verus, he headed north to personally lead the military campaigns. Marcus understood that an emperor's presence on the battlefield not only bolstered troop morale, but also allowed him to make strategic decisions with a deeper understanding of the situation. On the front lines, Marcus displayed a firm and calculating character, always seeking ways to minimize losses and protect his soldiers. The military campaigns were long and arduous. Conditions in the north were harsh, and the Germanic tribes defended themselves with a ferocity that tested the resilience of the Roman army. During these years, Marcus developed great empathy for his soldiers, sharing with them the hardships of the camp and refusing special treatment. His stoic attitude and willingness to endure suffering alongside his men earned him the respect and loyalty of his troops, who saw him not only as a leader, but as a companion in adversity. However, in the midst of these conflicts, Rome faced another devastating threat, a plague that spread quickly, decimating the Roman population and affecting soldiers and civilians alike. The disease, known as the Antonine Plague, severely weakened the empire, reducing the number of available soldiers and impacting the economy. Far from succumbing to despair, Marcus faced this crisis with calm and determination. He used his knowledge of medicine and surrounded himself with the best physicians of the time to try to contain the plague, although he knew that his resources were limited. Despite the losses and hardships, Marcus refused to abandon the campaign. His sense of duty and commitment to defending the empire were unwavering. The plague continued to claim lives, but he maintained discipline and order among his troops, convinced that courage and perseverance were the keys to overcoming any obstacle. In his meditations, Marcus reflected on the nature of adversity and how each challenge was an opportunity to strengthen his character. His writings from this period reveal a man seeking peace and clarity amidst chaos, reminding himself that external circumstances could not disturb his inner peace unless he allowed it. As the war progressed, Marcus also had to face the loss of his adoptive brother and co-emperor, Lucius Verus, who died during the campaign. Lucius's death was a personal and political blow, as Marcus had relied on him as a leadership companion. However, his Stoic philosophy helped him accept this loss with serenity, reminding himself that life was filled with highs and lows, and that every human being had their time on earth. Lucius's death did not cause Marcus to waver in his mission. On the contrary, he became even more committed to defending the empire and guiding Rome toward an era of peace and stability. Faced with multiple fronts, Marcus Aurelius had to make difficult decisions to ensure the empire's survival. In a self-sacrificial act, he decided to sell a large portion of the palace's personal properties and assets to fund the army, demonstrating his commitment to the welfare of the Roman people. This act of material detachment was applauded by his contemporaries, who saw in him an unprecedented gesture of loyalty and generosity. Marcus viewed this action as a way to show that his allegiance was to Rome, not to the riches his position offered. The war on the empire's borders continued for several years, and Marcus Aurelius had to face new incursions and attacks. However, his approach was not purely military. Marcus understood that achieving lasting peace required establishing respectful relations with the Germanic tribes and seeking agreements that benefited both sides. Throughout his campaigns, he demonstrated a diplomatic and pragmatic approach, seeking alliances with certain tribes to isolate the most hostile ones. This strategy allowed him to gain ground and consolidate peace in several regions, showing that his leadership vision went beyond conquest and brute force. One of the most memorable moments of these campaigns was the rain miracle, an event in which the Roman army, surrounded and exhausted under a scorching sun, was saved by a sudden storm that allowed them to quench their thirst and win a crucial battle. This event, interpreted by many as divine intervention, was depicted on the column of Marcus Aurelius in Rome, a monument celebrating his victories that still stands as a testament to his leadership. Marcus, however, remained humble in the face of such events, always remembering that true merit lay in the perseverance and discipline of his men. Upon returning to Rome after years of campaigning, Marcus found a city weakened by plague and war. Yet his vision of governance remained intact, and he continued to promote reforms to strengthen the justice system and improve the lives of his citizens. The hardships he had faced on the battlefield had not weakened his character. Rather, they had made him more compassionate and determined to rule with integrity. Marcus understood that the peace he had achieved on the frontiers had to be accompanied by internal peace within the empire, and he dedicated his efforts to reconciling factions and stabilizing the economy. Over time, Marcus Aurelius became a symbol of resilience and strength for the Roman people. His ability to face adversities with calm and dignity inspired his citizens, who saw him as an incorruptible leader close to the struggles of his people. Marcus did not rule from a place of luxury or arrogance. He was an emperor who lived according to his principles, and his example served as a reminder that true leadership lay in selfless service and in the pursuit of the common good. The meditations he wrote during these years reveal a man who, despite occupying the most powerful position in the known world, found peace and purpose in humility and in the acceptance of his role in the universe. Each reflection was a reminder that, although power and wealth were fleeting, virtue and wisdom were the true guides to a fulfilling life. Marcus Aurelius had achieved a deep understanding of life and his place in the world, and his Stoic teachings would become his most enduring legacy, a gift for future generations seeking wisdom in times of uncertainty. As he returned to Rome after years of military campaigns, Marcus Aurelius confronted an empire weakened by human and economic losses. The ravages of war and plague were felt in every corner of Rome, and social tensions were evident. Yet Marcus, with his characteristic calm and perseverance, committed himself to restoring well-being and stability. His sense of responsibility and Stoic principles urged him to continue, despite the physical and emotional exhaustion he carried. He knew that his mission was not yet complete, and that the Roman people needed his guidance more than ever. During these final years of his life, Marcus focused his efforts on consolidating peace and security within the empire. He knew that a divided Rome would be vulnerable to both internal and external threats, so he worked tirelessly to reconcile factions and strengthen institutions. Through reforms in the judicial system, he sought to ensure that justice prevailed throughout the empire. These reforms included improving conditions for slaves, facilitating manumission, and providing more opportunities for lower-class citizens, demonstrating his commitment to equity and respect for all inhabitants of Rome. As Rome slowly recovered from the wounds of war, Marcus also promoted policies to revitalize the economy and ensure the supply of essential resources. He knew that the empire's stability depended on the prosperity of its citizens, and he focused on fostering trade and protecting the transportation routes connecting Rome with its provinces. Despite facing financial challenges, Marcus refused to excessively raise taxes, understanding that his responsibility was to alleviate, not worsen, the hardships of his people. In these transitional years, the influence of his Stoic philosophy became even more evident. Marcus Aurelius was never swayed by the desire for power or wealth. To him, leadership was a duty and an act of service. In his meditations, he continued exploring themes of duty, compassion, and the value of facing adversity with dignity. His writings reflect a man at peace with himself and the world, who viewed every challenge as an opportunity to grow and strengthen his character. For Marcus, philosophy was not an abstract theory, but a daily practice that helped him be the best leader possible. However, the challenges on the empire's borders were not over. As before, the Germanic tribes remained a constant threat, and Marcus knew that peace could only be maintained through vigilance and preparedness. Facing a possible invasion, Marcus did not hesitate to rally his forces and embark on one last campaign to defend the empire. Though already weakened by age and years of war, his commitment to Rome motivated him to press on. He knew that the security of his citizens was his top priority, and he was unwilling to abandon his duty, even with his own health in decline. During this final campaign, Marcus Aurelius began to suffer from an illness that weakened his body, but he never allowed it to affect his determination or leadership. Even in the military camp, he continued writing his reflections, using philosophy as his refuge and source of strength. In his meditations, he spoke of the transitory nature of life and the acceptance of death, reflecting on human nature and the purpose of existence. His focus was clear: to live according to virtue and to face each moment, no matter how difficult, with serenity and courage. In 180 AD, Marcus Aurelius's health rapidly declined. Even in his final moments, his thoughts were with the empire and his son Commodus, who would be his successor. Marcus hoped that Commodus would continue his legacy of justice and wisdom, leading Rome with the same Stoic principles that he himself had upheld throughout his life. However, Marcus was also aware that Commodus had a different character and that his inclination toward pleasures and luxury could jeopardize the empire's stability. Nevertheless, as a true Stoic, Marcus accepted that he could not control his son's destiny or Rome's future, and he departed from life with an inner peace that only those who live according to their principles can achieve. Marcus Aurelius's death was met with profound sadness in Rome. His reign had been one of the most admired and respected in the empire's history, and his legacy as a just and compassionate ruler remained in the hearts of his citizens. Unlike other emperors who sought power and glory, Marcus Aurelius had always acted with humility and devotion, and his life became a model of virtuous leadership and selfless service. The Roman people knew they had lost not only an emperor, but a philosopher who had understood the true meaning of power and duty. The Meditations of Marcus Aurelius, written during his years of service, survived through the centuries as a testament to his wisdom and worldview. Through these reflections, later generations found inspiration and guidance to face their own challenges. Marcus Aurelius became an iconic figure not only for leaders, but for all those who sought to live a full and meaningful life. His teachings resonated with those who saw in Stoic philosophy a path to inner peace and resilience in the face of adversity. The legacy of Marcus Aurelius extends beyond his reign and the borders of the Roman Empire. His thoughts on virtue, discipline, and self-control have inspired philosophers, leaders, and people from all walks of life. In his Meditations, Marcus Aurelius captured the ideal of a human being who, despite life's difficulties, seeks excellence and integrity. For him, true greatness did not lie in power or conquest, but in the ability to act with justice, compassion, and wisdom, regardless of external circumstances. Thus, Marcus Aurelius left this world having fulfilled his purpose with humility and determination. His life is a reminder that greatness is found in character and in the principles that guide our actions. Rome lost an emperor, but it gained a legacy of virtues that would endure through the centuries. Marcus Aurelius became the example of a leader who not only ruled his empire, but also mastered his own mind and spirit. And although time has erased many faces and names from history, the memory of Marcus Aurelius endures, illuminating the path for those who seek to live with integrity and purpose. If this message of Stoicism resonates with your life, and you feel that this content nurtures your journey toward a life of greater wisdom and balance, join our community of exclusive members. Your support not only allows us to continue creating content, but also to impact and transform the lives of more people who need this knowledge and guidance on their path. More details are pinned in the comments. Let's continue this journey together. Upon Marcus Aurelius's death, Rome fell into the hands of his son, Commodus, who soon demonstrated a very different leadership style from his father's. Though Marcus had hoped that his legacy of justice, humility, and virtue would inspire his son, the coming years revealed a harsh reality. Commodus showed little interest in the philosophical principles his father had valued so deeply, and soon became known for his impulsive character and his love of pleasures and power. The contrast between the two emperors quickly became evident, and for many Roman citizens, the loss of Marcus Aurelius felt like the end of an era of integrity and moral leadership. However, while Commodus did not follow his father's path, the impact of Marcus Aurelius did not disappear. His teachings and his example as a ruler resonated throughout the empire and beyond. The Meditations, which Marcus had written in moments of solitude and reflection, began circulating as a reference work for those seeking guidance on how to live with virtue and clarity in a chaotic world. Marcus's thoughts, captured in these texts, transcended time, becoming a universal source of wisdom. Through the centuries, Marcus Aurelius's meditations influenced philosophers, leaders, and ordinary people worldwide. His message of resilience, compassion, and self-control inspired many, from emperors and kings to thinkers and poets. The simplicity and depth of his words allowed each generation to find something applicable to their own life and the challenges of their time. For Marcus, philosophy was not just an academic discipline, but a way of living that helped him face life's difficulties and maintain inner peace. In his reflections, Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself that power and fame were fleeting, and that true greatness lay in a person's character. This message remained relevant through the centuries, inspiring leaders who saw in him a role model. His emphasis on virtue as the ultimate value and his ability to find peace amid adversity made Marcus an icon of Stoic philosophy. Many considered him the archetype of the philosopher king, a leader who understood that true leadership is a responsibility, not a privilege. Over time, meditations were translated into multiple languages and spread across different cultures. During the Middle Ages, Marcus's Stoic thought inspired monks and clergy who saw in his philosophy a guide for living with humility and in harmony with nature. During the Renaissance, his work was rediscovered and celebrated by humanist thinkers who valued his focus on reason and self-knowledge. In this era, Marcus was revered as one of antiquity's great sages, and his teachings became part of the ideals of cultural and philosophical revival. Marcus Aurelius's influence continued to grow, and in later centuries his meditations were read by figures like the French philosopher Michel de Montaigne, who found in his words inspiration for his writings on human nature. In the modern era, thinkers such as John Stuart Mill, who defended the importance of freedom and ethics in society, also saw Marcus as a moral reference. Marcus represented the balance between power and virtue, reminding leaders that the true purpose of power was to serve the common good. Stoicism, in particular, saw a resurgence in contemporary times, becoming popular among those looking for tools to deal with the stress and complexity of modern life. Marcus Aurelius's teachings on accepting circumstances and focusing on the present reached a new audience, people who sought inner peace and clarity amid a world full of distractions. Marcus's Stoic principles became a practical resource for those who wanted to face life's challenges with a serene mind and a brave heart. Today, Marcus Aurelius's legacy remains alive, and his words continue to resonate in an era that, while different, faces its own forms of uncertainty and conflict. In his meditations, Marcus had written about the transience of life and the importance of living in harmony with oneself. His message has transcended time, reminding us that although circumstances change, the values of integrity, compassion, and discipline are eternal. For many, Marcus Aurelius is more than an emperor. He is a guide, a voice whispering from the past to help people find purpose and balance in a world of constant change. The monument to Marcus Aurelius in Rome, the majestic equestrian statue representing his leadership and wisdom, stands as a symbol of his legacy. This monument, erected on the Capitol, serves as a reminder of the greatness of a man who, despite being one of the most powerful figures of his time, lived with humility and commitment to his people. The statue has withstood the test of time, and many see it as the physical representation of a leadership ideal based on service and ethics. Marcus Aurelius left a testimony of life that continues to inspire leaders and citizens around the world. His message about the importance of inner peace, respect for others, and discipline in every aspect of life has transcended history, finding a place in the hearts of those who seek to live consciously and meaningfully. Through his writings, Marcus Aurelius reminds us that, although the world is full of uncertainties, we can always choose to live with virtue and dignity, guided by wisdom and serenity. Marcus Aurelius's name resonates today as a man who understood the true value of life. His legacy teaches us that power does not define a person. What truly matters is how we face challenges and how we respond to adversity. In every reflection, in every thought, Marcus Aurelius invites us to look within, to find peace amid chaos, and to remember that, though all is fleeting, the principles that guide us can be eternal. His life and legacy are a reminder that greatness does not lie in power, but in the ability to live according to our deepest values. Today, more than 2,000 years after his life, Marcus Aurelius remains a revered figure and a model of integrity and wisdom for people of all cultures and generations. The Meditations, originally written as a personal diary for his self-improvement, have become a foundational work in the history of philosophy. His words resonate with those seeking guidance in a world full of challenges and complexities. On every page, Marcus Aurelius reminds us that true peace and strength come from within, and that true success in life is not measured by power or wealth, but by the serenity with which we face the highs and lows of existence. In contemporary times, Marcus Aurelius's teachings have found a new audience in the fields of self-help and personal development. People facing stress, anxiety, and external pressures find in Stoicism a tool to maintain calm and clarity. In times of change and adversity, Marcus Aurelius's philosophy provides a practical guide to overcoming obstacles without losing sight of our values and purpose. Marcus Aurelius's Stoic philosophy centers on the idea that, although we cannot always control what happens around us, we can control our response to those events. This simple but powerful lesson has shaped the mindset of people of all ages, from leaders to individuals seeking to live with greater peace and purpose. His teachings invite constant introspection, encouraging us not to be swept away by negative emotions, and to remember that every difficulty is an opportunity to grow and strengthen our character. Beyond his influence on millions' personal lives, Marcus Aurelius's impact has also been felt in leadership and politics. The figure of the philosopher-emperor, a leader who prioritizes justice and the common good over power and ambition, is an archetype that inspires those in positions of responsibility. For those who must make difficult decisions, Marcus Aurelius's words are a reminder that authentic leadership is not about controlling others, but about first mastering oneself and serving the community with integrity. Even in the business world, Marcus Aurelius's thinking has influenced a new generation of leaders who see in Stoicism a tool for handling pressure and responsibility. The principles of resilience, patience, and self-control are qualities valued in both professional and personal life. Marcus Aurelius teaches us that, regardless of title or position, true strength lies in the mind and heart. In a modern world full of distractions, technology, and global challenges, Marcus Aurelius's teachings are more relevant than ever. His reflections inspire us to disconnect from the external noise and focus on what truly matters, living according to our values and treating others with respect and compassion. He reminds us that life is brief and that time is a finite resource, encouraging us to live each day with intention and to dedicate our efforts to what truly matters. Marcus Aurelius became an eternal example of philosophy in action, a man who, despite holding the most powerful throne in the known world, lived with humility, moderation, and compassion. Through his words, he reminds us that success is not measured by external victories, but by the inner peace achieved by living in harmony with our principles. For Marcus, a person's greatness is not in what they possess or the position they hold, but in their ability to live with virtue and face every moment with dignity. Today, meditations continue to be read, studied, and admired by people from all walks of life. His message about the importance of self-discipline, respect, and gratitude resonates with those seeking a full and meaningful life. Marcus Aurelius has left us a roadmap to find peace and wisdom in a world as uncertain as his own. His words transcend the boundaries of time and space, inviting us to reflect on our purpose and remember that, ultimately, we are the architects of our own happiness. The legacy of Marcus Aurelius endures, not only in statues and monuments bearing his name, but in the spirit of those who, inspired by his teachings, seek to live with purpose and clarity. His life and work are a constant reminder that though power and fame may fade, the principles of virtue and wisdom are eternal. Marcus Aurelius lives on in every person who decides to face their fears, overcome their limitations, and live according to the values that guide the human spirit toward its highest potential. For those seeking guidance in times of confusion, Marcus Aurelius's words are an invitation to look within, to find peace in acceptance, and to remember that the true value of life lies in how we choose to live it. Though the world continues to change, Marcus Aurelius's message remains steadfast, reminding us that greatness is not in what we accumulate, but in how we act, how we treat others, and our ability to remain true to ourselves in every moment. His voice remains alive, illuminating the path for those who wish to live with integrity and purpose. Ultimately, the story of Marcus Aurelius is not just that of an emperor, but of a human being who faced the same questions and challenges that we all face. What does it truly mean to be strong in the face of adversity? How can we maintain inner peace when the external world seems to fall apart? Marcus shows us that true power is not in controlling others or amassing wealth, but in mastering our own minds, finding clarity and purpose in every act, in every decision. Perhaps we can all ask ourselves, what legacy are we building? Can we live with the same integrity, compassion, and purpose that he sought? We may not rule an empire, but each of us holds a unique role in our own world. If we can learn anything from Marcus Aurelius, perhaps it is this invitation to look inward and find in our daily lives those timeless principles that allow us to be not only leaders, but fulfilled human beings. The story continues, and the choice of how to face it is in our hands. What path will we choose? I look forward to hearing your stories of resilience on this topic. Share your victories, your challenges, and your experiences in the comments. If you're unsure what to comment, simply write, "Thank you for your legacy, Marcus Aurelius," to signal that you've completed this journey with us. And don't forget to subscribe if this content resonates with you and aligns with your values for living with Stoic wisdom. Your voice is essential here. Each reflection strengthens and elevates our community, reflecting the true value of every individual and contributing to our shared Stoic identity. Are you ready to face life with a stronger and more peaceful mind? The path of wisdom, modern Stoicism for daily life, will give you the keys to developing resilience, clarity, and balance every day. Click the first link in the description for a 40% discount and start your journey today toward a life of wisdom and inner strength. If Stoicism resonates with your life and you feel that this content nourishes your path to greater wisdom and balance, join our exclusive members community. Your support not only allows us to continue creating content, but also to impact and transform the lives of more people who need this knowledge and guidance on their journey. More details in the pinned comment. We'll see each other in our next meeting in Stoicism for Winners, where we'll continue to explore the riches of Stoic wisdom applied to modern life. Now, take this opportunity to expand your understanding of Stoicism with new recommended sessions. Until we meet again, remember, you are the sole owner of your perception, the creator of your peace, and the warrior of your own battles. This is the legacy of Stoicism, the art of being invincible,